So there was a really interesting conversation with me and the co-founders in terms of coming up with what price point would we be happy with Flowroute. That conversation was interesting, and I would say, a bit easier than I assumed it would be. I think the conversation, all of me and the other two co-founders were pretty realistic about everything. We talked about the different models around valuation. We took a look at our own numbers, and we pretend to be on the other side to think about what would we be willing to pay for Flowroute. So in that thought process and in that progression, we came to the agreement pretty quickly. I mean, it took us all of 30 seconds to have a really interesting range conversation where it felt like it was popcorn. We just sat around the table, it was just three of us, and we all just threw out numbers in which we thought, where would we be comfortable with selling this company? Amazingly, we all landed roughly plus or minus 5 million from each other. And so at that point, it made it really easy to talk about what makes sense for us and what is our minimum. And of course, there's no maximum, but what was the minimum number that we would move for?
Great.
So the one thing that surprised me a lot about jumping into the deal team, working on this transaction, was how much work it actually takes to go through this process. I had been in long sales cycles before, and this was nothing like a long sales cycle. What I would say would be this is probably the most high-touch engagement or process you can be a part of. So it felt like, in a lot of ways, you had to run the company, and then you also had to run the deal. And the deal seemed like it was almost its own little startup at the time, in terms of everyone being extremely scrappy and pushing through deadlines and working with all kinds of variables flying at us, last minute. I would say another thing that really surprised me about the whole process was from our transaction, how much energy the acquiring company put into this. They brought on a team of, I believe, 60 people on the other side to work on the deal. I already felt like we had a lot of people on our side, but to then realize that, wow, they have like 5 times as many people as we do right now, that was really interesting, because then out of nowhere you felt like you had a whole customer base that you were servicing.